AIM-listed Ariana Resources, which is a gold and silver exploration, mine development and production company, has just announced a doubling of its resource in the Kepes North area of its now prolific Keseltepe gold and silver mine in western Turkey. There's been a lot of news out over the last couple of weeks. Let's get an update now on just where we are, what it all means, and how shareholders can benefit, and introduce our guest today, the Chief Executive of the company, Dr. Kerim Sener. Kerim, good to talk to you. I know you're still in Perth, but you're still operating a company which is providing investors with new opportunities. Just explain what's been going on recently, because you've reported earnings, you've got news on a dividend, you've got an expansion of one of your resources. It's all coming.
It is indeed, and good morning to you. We've had a phenomenal run over recent weeks in terms of news flow. We've had news flow dealing with elements of our exploration program running in Western Turkey, exploration that's underway through our earn into Venus Minerals, and various corporate updates, as you've alluded to, with the completion of our annual report and accounts, and the announcement of our first dividend, so the special dividend. So there's a huge range of topics that we can delve into today, but perhaps kicking it off, the most recent news related to the Kepes area of the Kızıltepe sector in Western Turkey. Kızıltepe is the operating mine, and Kepes itself is a prospect that sits some kilometers just off to the northeast of Kızıltepe. And we've doubled the resource there to 36,400 ounces of gold and about 330,000 ounces of silver, a very high grade. And in fact, these are some of the highest grades that we've seen across the Kızıltepe sector, now over 7 grams per ton of gold and about 65 grams per ton of silver within that relatively small resource area. And most importantly of all, we think from a mining perspective, is that the bulk of this resource has been pushed into higher levels of JORC confidence, 86% of it in measured and 14% of it in the indicated category. And much of that resource is actually captured by the optimized pit, and indeed the designed pit that we're working towards, and in fact expediting our mining plans for this area in particular, in order that it can augment the relatively lower grade ore that's being mined at Kızıltepe itself.
Are you going to continue drilling this area?
We are indeed. So the original plan for drilling at the Kızıltepe sector earlier this year was for 5,000 meters. But that drilling program has been going so well that we ran it all the way through to just over 10,000 meters before moving the rig up to the Karakavak prospect. It's drilled there, and now we've brought the rig back to Kepes to continue drilling in the Kepes area, given the very high grades that we're seeing in this area, and we believe that we can continue to build on that resource base. Yeah,
let's talk a little bit as well about what's happened over the last year. You've reported profit. I think it was down, wasn't it, on the previous year? I think 6.9 million the previous year, 5-something million this year of profit. But nonetheless, you are profitable. It has been a tough year. Look, we know this. We spoke to you a couple of times throughout the year, and you did indicate to us then the difficulties. And as I said, you're effectively stuck in an area where I know you'd love to be at the mines. But how difficult has this year been? How do you see this year developing now that we're in at the moment? And what's the trading like compared to 2 years ago? I guess we've got to start comparing to, because you can't really compare anything to the year we've had.
Yeah, in many ways, that's absolutely right. I mean, it has been quite a challenging past year. Operationally, however, at Kızıltepe, the mine has continued to operate pretty much on spec, if not better than our estimations. And a large part of this is down to the way that the team there handled the issues around coronavirus, how we managed those risks. And we were able to keep the mine and plant operational without interruption. And in fact, we met our target for production for the year. It actually exceeded it somewhat. It's important to recognize that, yes, the profits are down a little bit this past year, but that's primarily because of decreasing grades, throughput in the mill. So it was entirely expected, nothing unusual about that. And towards the end of this last year, we initiated the work that was required to increase mill throughput through a plant expansion. So The plant was operating at its nominal capacity of about 200,000 tonnes of ore per annum. That plant expansion process is nearing completion, and we're going to be doubling mill throughput from about, very, very shortly, doubling mill throughput and working up towards enabling the mine to continuing mining at lower grades, keeping the unit cost down at the same time. So we'll provide further updates on that in due course. But, everything's run according to plan.
And of course, a measure of that, I guess, has been this announcement of the special dividend you've just delivered. It is a special dividend, I guess, it's in as much as its definition means it's unlikely to be repeated. What is the dividend strategy at the company?
Yeah, so we termed it a special dividend because obviously it's related to the completion of the transaction that we concluded with Özaltın Holding and Proccea Construction for the expanded joint venture, encompassing all of our assets in Turkey. So just to recap on that, that's Kızıltepe, the operating mine, Tavşan, the deposit that will become the next mine, and then the Salınbaş gold silver system with an associated copper gold molybdenum porphyry. So all of those are now housed within this new joint venture framework, with Proccea remaining in management control. So it was important for us to get through that process of concluding the deal with Özaltın Holdings in order to be able to pay the special dividend. But there was a capital reorganization that we had to do. That took some time, the court process associated with that. But we finished all of that very satisfactorily now, and we were able earlier this week to announce the special dividend and the payment of that in 3 tranches. So the special dividend in total is 0.7 pence per ordinary share. So looking at our current share price, that's a dividend yield of 14–15% or something like that. So it's very, very substantial. And this is a return to our loyal shareholders, particularly those that have stuck with us for so long, since our IPO back in 2005. And it is a precursor, I would say, to a longer term strategy as a company, to be able to continue paying dividends in the longer term. And obviously that aspect of it is going to be contingent on continued successful and profitable operations from Kızıltepe. It depends on the timing of the mining commencing at the Tavşan deposit. And of course, it depends on a lot of factors that are completely outside of our control, such as what the gold price is doing. If the gold price remains at these sort of levels or higher, that obviously would strengthen our ability to be able to pay a dividend in the longer run.
Well, let's go back to the share price chart, I think, and talk about that in the context of the rise in the gold price. And I know we've spoken about the gold price before in connection with your share price, and of course silver, obviously, because you have silver credits as well. But what do you say to investors about the outlook? I mean, you're not a gold analyst, and I'm not expecting you necessarily to give your thoughts on where gold is going. What are you told about the gold price and where it's going, and how are you making investments on that future expectation of where gold is going?
Yeah, just as a reflection on our share price performance, our share price is very strongly correlated to what's happening to the gold price, and in particular movements in gold ETFs. So if they're rising, our share price rises. I mean, it's pretty much as simple as that. So, a good, strong gold price environment is always going to be good for a gold exploration and mining company. That's pretty much all I can say. We don't have any particular views or predictions on what's going to happen to the gold price. But what I should point out, and I think I've emphasized this in previous interviews, is that we've always taken a very conservative view of the gold price in terms of our inputs into our feasibility work, into the optimization work that we do for the open pits. And even if the gold price is at $1,800 per ounce, quite often we're running our financial models and the optimizations at substantially lower gold prices. So $1,400 per ounce maximum that we'd look at the moment is $1,600 per ounce. And so we tend to go with those 2 scenarios at the moment. It's also worth pointing out that our original optimizations for the Kızıltepe open pits were not much beyond $1,000 per ounce. So they're very robustly engineered pits as a result of that. And consequently, we can weather substantial downward movements in the gold price and still remain profitable. So I think that's a very important takeaway.
One final question. Next 6 months of the calendar year, or to the back end of the year, thoughts on what's happening, where you're going? Obviously, you've got this drill campaign continuing, and obviously you're hoping for more good news. What do you expect to be delivering to shareholders in terms of news flow?
Yes, very exciting times really as a business, because we've got this successful expanded joint venture in Turkey. It's obviously got its own exploration underway, its development of the Tavşan deposit, and then the work that we're undertaking at Sullenbusch as well. So there's going to be a continued news flow out of Turkey, without a doubt. But coupled to that, we're also earning into 50% of Venus Minerals, which is focused on volcanogenic massive sulfide systems in Cyprus. That drilling program is drawn to a close now. We're due to receive further results from the laboratories, and we'll be announcing those results to the market in due course. But the initial results from the drilling program that we've undertaken in Cyprus has really been fantastic. I mean, we've proven exactly what we've hoped, and that is that there's substantial gold associated with these copper systems. We've also initiated work in Kosovo, a Kosovan-based company that's exploring for copper-gold systems, primarily porphyry and epithermal gold-silver systems within Eastern Europe. We've got our first license applications in through Western Tethyan Resources, of which we own 75%. And those license applications, as soon as they're granted, we'll continue to undertake further work on that ground and ultimately move those projects to the drill stage. So there'll be more news on all of that as well. In addition, a few weeks back, we announced the establishment of the Asgard Metals Fund. This is based here in Australia. Asgard's remit is to pick discovery stage opportunities, so high quality project opportunities, potentially anywhere in the Eastern Hemisphere, with a focus on gold, copper, and some other technology metals that are going to be important as the world transitions to greener energy technologies. And we've got $2 million Australian dollars in the kitty to be able to undertake that work.
Kerim, we'll leave it there, but thanks indeed for joining us, updating us on all that's happening there at Ariana Resources. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for your time. That's Dr. Kerim Sener. He's the Chief Executive of Ariana Resources. For more videos from us here at IGTV, join us on Twitter at IGCom, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.